Have you ever felt it? That strange, quiet pushback against pure happiness. A moment of perfect peace arrives, and your mind immediately starts searching for the problem. A wave of genuine joy washes over you, and a voice inside whispers, "Don't get too comfortable." What if that resistance wasn't a flaw? What if it wasn't a sign that you are broken, but a profound signal from a lost and misunderstood part of yourself? The great psychologist Carl Jung had a radical answer. He believed this self-sabotage comes from a place we rarely look, our own capacity for play. This is the realm of the playful shadow. For many of us, the word shadow conjures darkness and fear. But Jung taught that the shadow is simply everything we have disowned. And for those of us raised to be serious and responsible, we have often disowned our right to be frivolous, to be spontaneous, to simply be joyful without reason. In our time together today, we will unmask this hidden saboteur. First, we will uncover the deep psychological reasons why your own soul might be guarding you from bliss. Then we will learn to recognize the fingerprints of this playful shadow in our daily lives. And most importantly, I will guide you through a gentle, practical shadow work exercise to begin befriending this resistance, transforming it into an ally. This is not a quest to find happiness. It is an invitation to stop fighting the joy that is already yours. To begin this sacred work, I invite you to make a quiet declaration. Write in the comments below, "I am ready to welcome my joy." Why would any part of us actively choose discomfort over contentment? It sounds like madness, and yet we do it every day. In 1,000 subtle, almost invisible ways. You receive a heartfelt compliment, and your first instinct is to deflect it, to minimize it, as if accepting it would be an act of arrogance. You complete a difficult project, and instead of allowing yourself a moment of celebration, your mind immediately fast-forwards to the next challenge, or fixates on the one tiny flaw. You find yourself with a rare, unscheduled afternoon of freedom, and an overwhelming sense of guilt washes over you, whispering that you should be doing something, anything, productive. This is not a character flaw. It is not a lack of gratitude. It is a deeply programmed survival strategy, etched into the operating system of your psyche. Your resistance to joy is not a random bug. It is a feature designed long ago to protect you. And it is often rooted in 3 powerful unconscious beliefs that your playful shadow has learned and mastered. Let's meet Jessica. She is 38 years old, a talented graphic designer known for her creativity and her meticulous attention to detail. After 3 grueling weeks of working late, she finally submits a major project for a new client. The feedback is ecstatic. They love her work. Her boss praises her in a team meeting. This should be a moment of pure, unadulterated joy. But as Jessica sits at her desk, a cold knot of anxiety begins to form in her stomach. She rereads the client's email, hunting for any sign of hidden dissatisfaction. She replays her boss's praise, convinced it was just professional courtesy. Her husband calls, suggesting they go out to their favorite restaurant to celebrate. Jessica hesitates. "I don't know. I still have so much to do for the next project." The joy feels foreign, dangerous. What is happening here? Her playful shadow is activating the first and most ancient protective belief. Joy is a threat. For many of us, somewhere in our formative years, a moment of pure, unrestrained happiness was swiftly followed by an experience of pain, shame, or loss. Perhaps as a child, your spontaneous laughter in a quiet room was met with a sharp, angry, "Be quiet!" Perhaps a school project you were incredibly proud of was handed back with a grade that felt like a slap in the face. Or perhaps a period of blissful family life was shattered by a sudden, unexpected tragedy. The young psyche, unable to process this complexity, learns a simple and brutal lesson. It creates a powerful equation for survival. Joy leads to pain. Therefore, to avoid the devastating shock of pain, I must avoid the vulnerability of joy. It is a tragic but brilliant act of self-preservation. So, like a vigilant guard, Jessica's playful shadow stands at the gate of her heart. When it sees happiness approaching, it doesn't see it a friend. It sees a Trojan horse smuggling in the potential for future disappointment. Her anxiety is the alarm bell, her self-doubt is the shield. It is her own soul trying to protect her from a wound that happened long ago. But there is a second layer to her resistance. As Jessica sits at her desk feeling guilty about the thought of celebrating, her shadow is running another program. This one was not learned in a moment of trauma, but absorbed over years from the very air we breathe. It is the second belief. Struggle is a virtue. We live in a world that worships at the altar of productivity. The hustle, the grind, the relentless pursuit of more, these are seen as badges of honor. Rest, play, and simple contentment are often viewed with suspicion as signs of laziness, a lack of ambition, or even a moral failing. Your worth, you have learned, is measured by your output, by your seriousness, by your struggle. For Jessica, the 3 weeks of grueling work felt normal, even noble. That was her earning her keep. But the idea of 2 hours at a restaurant doing nothing but enjoying a meal, that feels unearned. It feels frivolous. Her playful shadow, deeply conditioned by this societal belief, sees unstructured joy as a threat to her identity as a competent, hard-working professional. It manufactures a sense of urgency about the next project to keep her safely in the realm of doing, because the realm of simply being feels terrifyingly unproductive. It's a form of self-sabotage that masquerades as responsibility. And this leads us to the third, and perhaps the most deeply hidden belief, the one that sits at the very core of this paradox. As Jessica deflects the praise and resists the celebration, she is acting out a quiet, painful truth she holds about herself. The third belief, joy is for other people. This is the subtle ache of unworthiness. It is the feeling of being an imposter in the land of happiness. We can look at our friends, our partners, our colleagues, and genuinely believe they deserve every ounce of their success and joy. But when that same light is shone upon us, it feels wrong, uncomfortable, as if a mistake has been made. The playful shadow, holding this deep, tender wound, operates on a logic of preemptive loss. It believes, on a level deeper than words, that if it truly allows happiness in, the universe will soon discover the error. It will realize that you, of all people, are not supposed to have it, and it will be ripped away, causing a pain far greater than the initial pleasure. So it's safer not to let it in at all. It's safer to push it away yourself before life does it for you. It is a heartbreaking act of self-rejection, disguised as control. This is the complex, layered fortress your soul has built. It is not a prison made of malice. It is a fortress built of love, a misguided, overprotective love for the vulnerable child within. Understanding this is the first, most crucial step in the practice of Carl Jung's shadow work. You are not here to tear down the walls. You are here to understand why they were built, and to gently, compassionately begin to show the guard at the gate that the war is over. It is finally safe to come home. So now we understand the why. We see the fortress of resistance, built not of malice, but of a deep, protective love. But how does this guardian operate day to day? The saboteur of joy does not announce its presence with a trumpet blast. It is a master of disguise. It wears masks so convincing that we mistake them for our own face. It whispers justifications so subtle that we believe them to be our own rational thoughts. This is a crucial phase in our shadow work journey. It is about learning to recognize the fingerprints of the playful shadow on the crime scene of our stolen joy. Let's explore 3 of its most common and cunning disguises. The first, and perhaps most socially acceptable mask, is that of the perfectionist. The perfectionist masquerades as a commitment to excellence. It tells you, we just want things to be right. And who can argue with that? But its true, hidden function is to create a standard so impossibly high that joy can never be reached. It is a goalpost that moves every time you get close. Let's imagine David, a 45-year-old carpenter. He spends 2 months crafting a beautiful, intricate bookshelf for his home. His family marvels at it. It is a masterpiece of skill and dedication. He should feel a deep, satisfying pride. But as he stands back to admire his work, the perfectionist shadow whispers in his ear. See that joint there? It's off by a millimeter. The stain is a fraction of a shade darker on the left side. You could have used a better piece of wood for that top shelf. Suddenly, the 99% of the work that is magnificent disappears. All David can see is the 1% that is flawed. The potential for joyful accomplishment is assassinated by an impossible standard. The perfectionist ensures that you live in a perpetual state of almost good enough to celebrate, almost worthy of rest, almost deserving of joy. It is a brilliant strategy to keep you safely in the realm of striving, far from the vulnerable territory of arrival. Because if you never arrive, you can never be disappointed. The second mask is even more subtle, because it often earns us laughter and social approval. It is the mask of the self-deprecating humorist. Picture this. You've worked hard on a presentation and delivered it flawlessly. Your boss says, "That was outstanding, truly brilliant work." A warm glow of pride starts to rise in your chest. It feels good. It feels real. And just as that feeling crests, the self-deprecating humorist steps in to pop the balloon. You laugh and say, "Oh, even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while." Or, "I'm just glad I didn't fall asleep in the middle of it." The room laughs. It feels like humility. It feels like you're being relatable and down to earth. But what is really happening? Your playful shadow has detected an incoming surge of joy, and it has activated its emergency pressure release valve. The self-deprecating joke is a preemptive strike. It says, "I will diminish myself before anyone else can. I will devalue my own achievement to prove that it doesn't matter that much to me, so if it's taken away, it won't hurt." It's a deeply ingrained defense against the vulnerability of being seen in your full light. To stand in your success, to simply say, "Thank you, I'm very proud of it," feels terrifyingly exposed. What if they change their minds? What if the next project is a failure? The self-deprecating joke is a shield. It keeps you small, and in the world of the frightened shadow, small is safe. And this leads us to the third and perhaps most pervasive mask in our modern world, the mask of the constant planner. You're at your child's soccer game. The sun is warm, the crowd is cheering. It is a perfect Saturday afternoon. But your mind is not there. Your mind is in the grocery store, making a mental list. It's at your desk on Monday morning, rehearsing a difficult conversation. It's worrying about the car payment that's due next week. The constant planner is a thief of the present moment, and the present moment is the only place where joy can live. This isn't about being responsible and organized. This is a state of chronic mental escapism. Your playful shadow, terrified by the unstructured, unpredictable nature of the now, flees to the then. It prefers the controllable, albeit stressful, realm of lists, schedules, and worries over the wild, open field of the present. Why? Because in the present, anything can happen. You could feel a moment of pure, unadulterated peace, and to the shadow, that peace is the quiet before the storm. So it creates a mental storm of its own, a never-ending to-do list to drown out the silence. It keeps you perpetually living in a state of preparing for life rather than actually living it. Perfectionism, self-deprecation, constant planning. These are not your personality traits. They are strategies. They are the sophisticated programs run by your inner guardian to keep you from the perceived danger of uninhibited happiness. And seeing them, truly seeing them for what they are, is the beginning of your liberation. It is not a moment for shame. It is a moment for awe. Awe at the incredible, intricate ways your own psyche has worked to protect you. When you can look at your own perfectionism and say, not with judgment, but with a gentle curiosity, "Ah, there you are. You're trying to keep me safe from disappointment." Everything begins to change. You are no longer a victim of your patterns. You are becoming a compassionate observer. And from that place of observation, as Carl Jung so wisely taught, a new path forward can be forged. A path not of fighting, but of befriending. A path where the saboteur is invited, gently, to finally lay down its arms.
So, we do not fight the shadow. We do not try to exorcise it or banish it or shame it into silence. To do so would be to declare war on a part of ourselves. And in a civil war of the soul, there are no winners. Instead, we do something far more radical. Something that feels counterintuitive to our culture of striving and fixing. We invite it to play. The path to integrating the playful shadow, this lost, joyful part of you, is not through force. It is through gentle, consistent, and deliberate acts of welcome. Here in this safe space, I want to guide you through a simple, yet profoundly transformative practice. This isn't just an exercise. Think of it as a ritual, a sacred appointment with your own soul. I call it the 5-minute joy experiment. The goal of this experiment is not to feel some overwhelming cinematic bliss. That is too much pressure. The goal is much simpler and much more achievable. The goal is to practice the act of allowing, to create a tiny 5-minute sanctuary in your day where joy is not a threat. Here is how we begin. First, you must choose your joy, and it must be a micro joy. This is critical. Do not choose go on vacation or finish my novel. The playful shadow is like a frightened deer at the edge of a forest. A grand gesture will scare it away. You must offer it a small, quiet, non-threatening piece of bread. A microjoy is sensory, immediate, and requires almost no effort. It is the feeling of the sun on your face for 60 seconds. It is the taste of the first perfect sip of morning coffee held on your tongue. It is closing your eyes and truly listening to one single song from beginning to end. It is the simple physical act of stretching your arms above your head and taking one deep, conscious breath. Choose one, just one. Second, you must schedule it. This step transforms a fleeting whim into a sacred intention. Take out your phone or your calendar right now and put it in. A 5-minute appointment, My Joy Experiment, or Sacred Pause. By giving it a time and a name, you are signaling to every part of your psyche, this matters. My well-being matters. My joy is a priority. You are treating it with the same seriousness you would a doctor's appointment or a work deadline. Third, you enter the sanctuary. When the scheduled time arrives, you honor it. You put your phone on silent. You step away from your desk. You close the door if you can. For these 5 minutes, you have only one job: to give yourself unconditional permission to experience your chosen micro-joy without any other agenda. If you are listening to a song, you are not also scrolling through social media. You are just listening. If you are drinking your tea, you are not also running through your to-do list. You are just tasting. You are offering your full, undivided presence to this one small moment of pleasure. And now for the most important step of all, the heart of the shadow work. Fourth, you welcome the resistance. Because the resistance will come. It is guaranteed. The guard at the gate of your heart has been on duty for a long time. It will not abandon its post easily. The voice will arrive, whispering, "This is silly. This is a waste of time. You should be answering those emails. What if someone needs you? You don't deserve this." In the past, you would have believed this voice. You would have obeyed it. You would have felt the guilt and immediately stopped. But not this time. This time, you will not fight it. You will not argue with it. You will simply acknowledge it with the calm compassion of a wise parent speaking to a frightened child. You will say silently or out loud, "I see you. I hear you. Thank you for trying so hard to protect me. I understand you are scared, but for these 5 minutes, we are safe. You can rest. I've got this." Do you feel the shift in that? You are not battling a saboteur. You are reassuring a guardian. You are separating the behavior of resistance from the intention of protection. You are honoring the love behind the fear. This is the essence of integration, as the great Carl Jung taught. Each time you complete this 5-minute experiment, you are not just having a nice moment. You are running a new neural pathway. You are actively reprogramming your nervous system. You are teaching your playful shadow through direct lived experience that a moment of joy does not have to end in catastrophe. You are showing it that stillness is not dangerous, that pleasure is not a prelude to pain. This practice is not about forcing the frightened deer out of the forest. It is about leaving a small, consistent offering of bread in the same spot every single day. And over time, with patience and with love, the deer will begin to trust. It will take a few steps out of the shadows, and one day you will look up, and it will be eating right from your hand.
Today, we have stood at the gates of a fortress we built ourselves, a fortress designed not to keep others out, but to keep our own joy in. We have looked at the resistance to happiness not as a flaw, but as a profound, if misguided, act of love from a part of ourselves we long ago exiled, the playful shadow. We learned that this inner guardian resists joy for 3 powerful reasons. It learned that joy can be a prelude to pain. It was conditioned to believe that struggle is more virtuous than ease. And it holds a deep, tender wound of unworthiness, believing that true happiness is for other people. We then unmasked its common disguises: the perfectionist who ensures nothing is ever good enough, the self-deprecating humorist who deflects pride, and the constant planner who steals the present moment. And most importantly, we learned a gentle, powerful ritual: the 5-minute joy experiment. Not to fight this resistance, but to befriend it. To show it through small, consistent acts that it is finally safe to rest. The journey of welcoming your joy is the very essence of shadow work. It is not about chasing a fleeting emotion. It is about the radical act of self-reclamation. It is about integrating all the parts of you: the serious and the silly, the striver and the dreamer, the guardian and the child. As you continue this practice, something miraculous begins to happen. The energy you once used to suppress your own happiness becomes available to you. It returns as creativity, as vitality, as a deep and abiding sense of peace. You start to build a life not based on what you should do, but on who you truly are. This is not a selfish pursuit. It is your soul's birthright. To feel the sun on your skin without guilt, to laugh without apology, to rest without justification. But as you begin this beautiful and courageous journey of welcoming joy, a new landscape often emerges. When you stop running, when you stop striving, when you stop filling every moment with noise, you are left with something that can feel even more intimidating. You are left with silence. And in that silence, you may discover another part of your shadow, the part that has been conditioned to believe that your quietness is a weakness, that to be silent is to be powerless. For so many of us, especially in a world that rewards the loudest voice, we have disowned the profound strength that lies in our own stillness. How do we learn to see our quiet nature not as a deficiency, but as a superpower? How do we find our true potential not in speaking up, but in turning inward? That is the deep, essential path we will walk together in our next conversation, as we explore the hidden strength of the quiet soul, guided by the timeless wisdom of Carl Jung. For now, your invitation is simple yet profound. Commit to your 5-minute joy experiment this week, just once. To make this intention real, to declare it to yourself and to this community, I invite you to share in the comments below. What is the one micro-joy you will allow yourself to experience? Will it be the taste of your coffee, the sound of a bird, the feeling of a deep breath? By sharing, you are not only making a promise to yourself, you are lighting a small candle, and its light gives others permission to light their own. Thank you for your courage to be whole. Your joy is waiting.